movements they make with the steering lines. They are showing you the full flight characteristics of the Ram Air canopy. It takes a great deal of concentration to land dead center on the target. The jumper keeps a close eye on the windsock located in the target area. Once on final approach, the jumper then shifts all of his concentration into a small black dot located in the center of the orange X. Ladies and gentlemen, looking high to your right, these parachutes are known as a high-performance wing, capable of speeds in excess of 90 miles per hour. These speeds are accomplished by performing a highly dynamic turn, increasing its earthward descent, then flattening its trajectory across the ground at speeds of nearly 100 miles per hour. The United States Army Parachute Team has two demonstration teams. Since the colors of the Army are black and gold, so are the names of our team. The team performing for you today is the Black Demonstration Team. The United States Army Parachute Team was formed in 1959 at the home of the Air Force, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. At that time, the team consisted of 19 original members. Each was selected to assist in the development of modern parachuting techniques, provide road-class competition parachutists, perform live aerial demonstrations in support of Army public relations and recruiting. In 1961, we were designated the Army's official aerial demonstration unit, and 1 year later, we adopted our nickname, the Golden Knights. As the last of the jumpers remove their equipment and don the distinctive maroon beret of today's modern paratrooper, I would like to introduce the jumpers. But first, performing the difficult duties of ground control from Walkerton, Indiana, he's an airborne explosive ordnance disposal technician with 999 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Corey Rush. Performing the technical task of videographer from Dartmouth, Massachusetts, he's an airborne ranger with 2,660 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Keith Pierce. And now for the jumpers. From Danville, Indiana, he's an airborne infantryman with 1,299 free-fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Matthew Gardner. From Marietta, California, he's an airborne wheeled vehicle mechanic with 460 free-fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Nahu Ramirez. From Springfield, Missouri, he's a motor transportation operator with 2,339 free-fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Logan Maples. From Aurora, Colorado, he's an airborne mortarman with 3,377 free-fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Jason Bowder. From Cincinnati, Ohio, he's an airborne ranger with 730 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Danny Hellman. From Walhalla, South Carolina, he's an airborne information technology specialist with 680 free-fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Benjamin Hall. From Boston, Massachusetts, he's an airborne infantryman with 2,650 free-fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Roman Grijalva. From Tampa, Florida, he's an airborne ranger with 1,000 965 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Ryan O'Rourke. From Yuma, Arizona, he's a parachute maintenance technician with 1,262 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant Nicholas Orozco. From Found, Colorado, he's an airborne infantryman with 660 free fall parachute jumps, Staff Sergeant Gabriel Colon. And leading the Golden Knights in free fall, the team leader of the Black Demonstration Team. From Rayford, North Carolina, he's an airborne infantryman with 2,605 free fall parachute jumps, Sergeant First Class Morgan George. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you the Black Demonstration Team for the 2022 Air Show season. All members of your United States Army Parachute Team, the Golden Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our performance for the day. And on behalf of the entire team, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being such a warm and receptive airborne audience. In closing, I leave you with this final thought. In the future, may all your days be prosperous and your nights golden.
And a big round of applause for the U.S. Army Golden Knights, Staff Sergeant Corey Jernigan, leading off the first performance of the day and then closing out as the narrator for the second and last performance of the day. Very talented young individual, and the Golden Knights will be back with both of their shows tomorrow as we continue with jet action. And remember, a little break now for you to visit the facilities if you have to. And please don't get mad at me for reminding you about suntan lotion, sunblocker, lip protection, and hydration, especially for the younger children who may not be aware of it as you. High altitudes, great temperatures, and a breeze will dry you out. We want you to be as healthy as you possibly can. We want you to be comfortable and enjoy the show in the best of health, and that's why I worry about our great spectators. Yours truly, the host that loves you most, Danny Klisham. Golden Knights aircraft known as Golden Knights 610. Relatively new aircraft built by de Havilland of Canada. Be clearing the runway, then we'll go into some jet civilian action. And I'll tell you about a neat guy who was inspired as a little kid in the state of Florida by a pilot of great renown who was flying a mini-jet. Who made the mini-jet, who discovered it, who designed it, who marketed it. We'll tell you about that. And we'll tell you about this pilot's quest, despite some disadvantage as a youngster with not learning how to fly, but avoiding the problems of air sickness. All right, on with the action. You'll pick up the mini jet low and to your left. Pilot is Tom Larkin, goes by the call sign of Lark. And as a kid, he was afraid of roller coasters and often got airsick when trying to fly airplanes as a child. You know who had that problem as well, learning how to fly as a young man? The legendary R.A. Bob Hoover. And he overcame that, as did Tom Larkin, and went on to be famous, as did Tom Larkin. Growing up with RC, or radio-controlled aircraft, started to get first with aerodynamics and aviation with RC aircraft. Later, a great advantage when you fly the full-size aircraft because of your understanding of the controlled surface movements and requirements of an RC aircraft. So you look out on the runway, you'll see it is a very small jet. It's called the Mini, M-I-N-I jet. There's the smoke on. Now, it is the first one from the Subsonics Corporation to build aircraft like this in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which is the home of the Experimental Aircraft Association and the biggest air show and aviation gathering in the entire world. Well, Tom, as a youngster in Florida, told me he first saw the BD jet. It was flown by a famous author whose aviation books quite often went on to become movies. And he saw that pilot fly the BD mini jet, and it just inspired him to have one day. Now, the BD jets were used by civilian individuals, solo performances, and team performances, and sponsored by various food drive-ins, fast food areas, and or breweries in the country. Tremendously popular with the crowd. Now relegated to the role mostly of simulating joint cruise missiles. Ernie Gann was the pilot that Tom Larkin first saw fly that in Florida, and that sparked him to eventually build his own. Now, the jet is only 500 pounds empty, and the engine, the jet engine, is mounted on the tap of the fuselage towards the rear. And you say, well, that jet blast is going to flutter the tail. Well, you'll see maybe on takeoff you noted it has a V tail, much like a Beechcraft Bonanza. So the jet blast, which I'm going to tell you about, has no disruptive forces on the tail of the aircraft, all brought into the design of the aircraft. Tom Larkin started to take flying lessons at age 19. There is the mini jet. Received a degree in aerospace engineering from Georgia Tech. Entered the Air Force pilot training in '84. He was a T-38 instructor and progressed, get this, to the mighty F-15 Charlie model. Flew in Operation Northern Watch and provide comfort. Selected as an instructor for the Air Force lead-in school in the AT-38. Resides in Denver, Colorado. Currently a pilot, instructor, and evaluator on the 737 for a major airline. Married for 30 years, a set of twins who Tom says are thankfully out of college and on their own. So you see the small size of the airplane, hence the name the mini jet. The thrust for all of you air show fans is only 258 pounds. Now, that's not a misnomer. That's all it takes to get the airplane up to 300 miles an hour. It is an engine that came off of a very small drum. But because of the size of the airplane, the lightweight, and the skill of Tom Larkin, it can do maneuvers like this. With a perfect blue sky, this is Tom Larkin drawing out a maneuver we call the Cuban 8. It's a figure 8 drawn by the smoke of the airplane, with the figure 8 laying on its side. It consists of 5/8 of a loop on the left side, 5/8 of a loop on the right side. He's going to come down and match up the smoke right about in here in the figure 8 is in the sky. Invented by accident by Len Colby in Miami, Florida in 1946, who was the chief aerobatic instructor for Juan Batista in the Cuban Air Force, and named after that great individual from that day to this, despite our strained relations with that country's dictator. Tom Larkin, our pilot, in the mini jet, fulfilling a dream as most pilots do. Now he'll go forward. That's when to roll the aircraft in the hairpin turnaround. That'll have him required to do a quarter turn, which he did, back off in the original direction of flight. The engine is called a PBS TJ engine. It's built in the Czech Republic, capable, as I mentioned, of a mere 258 pounds of thrust. He'll burn 40 gallons during this performance. Hey, by the way, there is no paint on the airplane as he does the 4-point precision hesitation roll. This is an airplane that is wrapped. Absolutely no paint on the airplane. Wrapped in vinyl covering, similar to show cars. In addition to the performance, you can see that as a jet, because of its agility, he can keep it in close and tight. Goes to the top of this loop, he'll roll the aircraft from upside down to upside down and close in the loop. Our pilot Tom has flown over 9,000 hours, 57 different types of aircraft, and fulfilling a dream. By the way, as I mentioned, this was the first of the aircraft, the jet mini aircraft, to come from the Subsonics factory. 1,000 pounds lighter, 60 miles an hour faster than an Indy car. The engine itself, if you needed to do an engine change, you could wait till the engine cooled down, unbolt it from the top of the fuselage, and with one person could carry it to a workbench or work area. You wouldn't need a hoist, you wouldn't need 2 individuals, although it would be easier. It is just over 40 pounds. With his extensive military background, Tom Larkin, our pilot, did all of the extensive testing on the subsonic line of aircraft for the factory in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Very high rate of roll for the double roll. This one highly modified for air shows, as you might imagine. For you pilots that care, stressed to +6 times the force of gravity and -3 times the force of gravity. And it is the only performer flying air shows in this type of aircraft in the world today. So another unique feature. These are facts, they are not just boasts. Watch for Tom to do the traffic circle in the sky. A lot of cities have converted to those traffic signals for trying to keep traffic moving at a busy intersection. Well, Tom gets around to go around once. Now the traffic's coming from the left, so he'll have to watch the traffic on his left. He's got to wait for traffic on his left. The traffic on his right can go, but this guy went out in front of him, and he got completely around the traffic circle without incident. or bumps. Combination of a 30-year dream. Now as he comes back in, we'll watch for Tom to set up for the 6 times the force of gravity turn in the tight 360-degree circle. See that detail? Remember I mentioned to you that it has no problem with that jet engine because the two don't get in each other's way. That is a solid 6G turn, and that is a tight turning radius at the speed that Tom entered. The mini jet, Tom Larkin. Everybody should have one. Okay, taking note that it is a vinyl wrap rather than a paint job. Tom Larkin is going to show you that coming in from your right, over your right shoulder. Legally low, relatively slow, with a wingtip on our side pointed down towards the ground. And you can get a photo opportunity. Now, as Tom lands the airplane and clears the runway, the airplane you're hearing overhead is Rob Holland, a most accomplished individual. He has got a list of competition victories in North America and around the world unparalleled. Five-time world freestyle champion, 10-time U.S. National Aerobatic Champion, 10-time U.S. National Freestyle Aerobatic Champion, inducted into the Honorary Snowbirds Jet Demonstration Team, 3-time recipient of the Charlie Hillard Trophy.
Welcome back into the Warriors Over the Wasatch Air Show here at Hill Air Force Base. Dan Hawkins, and delighted to be joined by Debbie Worthen from KSL 5 in Salt Lake City. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's so exciting to be here. Even as I was driving in, I could see kind of the white smoke off of I-15 and getting into town. And I know we talked about this a few minutes ago. I always get a little bit choked up. And I think it's just that sense of patriotism and just the power of what's going on here.
Yeah, and you might hear it behind us. It is the sound of freedom. It is the F-35 Lightning II that is getting ready to fire up and delight the crowd. And I know you're excited to see them and the Thunderbirds later.
Oh, absolutely. So tell us about the F-35, because this really is a very cool plane.
Yeah, it is. We had Major Wolf on earlier, Bea Wolf. She's the commander of the F-35 demo team. It is a 9G capable multi-role fighter, stealth, situational awareness. I mean, it is the most advanced fighter jet in the world, along with the F-22 Raptor, as you hear some pyrotechnics behind us.
Yeah, what are we hearing?
That's just some pyrotechnics. I think one of the acts that was just up in the air, the Sonex demo, looks like they just fired off some pyrotechnics. You see it there on the screen, Debbie. But these kind of acts have been going on all day long. You get a sight there.
Now, we all watch things kind of just in the background of what's going on here at Hill Air Force Base all the time. But this is the first time in a few years that the public has been able to come back out here and really get a taste for what's going on here. Tell us about that, because the pandemic, just like a lot of other events that were canceled, it really canceled the events that happened here for the public to watch.
Yeah, this is the first time in 4 years that this air show has taken place, and what a lot of people might not know about how air shows are put together is a lot of these acts have to be booked 2 years in advance.
Wow.
And so, you end up having to cancel because of the pandemic. Scheduling, a reschedule can be difficult. So, most of the air shows that got canceled because of COVID-19 just didn't ever happen. And so a lot of places, their air shows have had this kind of 4-year break or 3-year break in between air shows.
So as I was getting a ride from the media staging area, I was talking to the gentleman, and he said, if a few years ago we had 600,000 people, if that number was accurate a few years ago, it's higher than that this time.
Oh, it is. This crowd is like max capacity. It's bursting at the seams. But having said all that wow, you can really hear that, right? You felt that.
Oh, yeah, I felt it. What was so cool, too, is there are so many places to watch. So people still want to head up. You don't have to come right here to the base. You can go all these surrounding areas. It was almost like when people set up for a parade, and they just set out their chairs on the grass to kind of get things going and to watch what's happening.
Look at that crowd.
Wow.
I mean, Max.
And, the weather has cooled slightly. I mean, it's still hot, don't get me wrong, but it could be 100 degrees. It's not. We're in the 80s today, which is pretty perfect for the air show.
And it hasn't deterred the crowd in
No.
any way, shape, or form either. This is fabulous as you get the sights there of the crowd taking in the air show as they get ready for the F-35. And I didn't realize there was going to be so many pyrotechnics in this particular demo.
I love it. This is a great way to spend a Saturday. Now, hundreds of thousands of people coming onto Hill Air Force Base to watch this. There is a ton of work that goes into an event like this. Why does Hill Air Force Base do it? What is the reason for all of this?
Well, obviously, I think first and foremost, it's to demonstrate to the American population, the might of the American military, in particular the air and space forces, and their abilities to fly, fight, and win. And you're going to see all of that on display as you see there. The F-35 Lightning II, that's Major Kristen Bale-Wolf.
We need a moment of silence.
Yeah, we really do. She's taxiing out to get ready for her performance, but that is going to be a sight to behold.
And you know what is just so impressive about this is one of those planes. I can't even imagine being able to fly that. And you have a lot of women now who are in the armed forces, who are in these amazing roles now. That has been a shift.
Yeah, rated diversity improvement is one of Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Q. Brown Jr.'s priorities.
Right.
They recently, last year, just released a rated diversity improvement strategy, and they are working to put not only women, but just more diverse pilots of nature, because, the more diverse of a force that we have, the less groupthink that we have, bringing all that talent to bear only makes us better as an Air Force. So that was a great observation.
When I saw the story with her a couple of weeks ago, because we've been talking about this show for a couple of weeks now, that was the first thing that stood out to me, because I told you, my family, I grew up coming to these shows. My brother's a captain for an airline, and my dad worked for the airlines growing up. So, really watching these planes was always front and center. We came every time the air show was in place, and so to see a woman flying that is just awesome.
Yeah, and, it really is impressive for anybody to fly these aircraft, but we had Major Bale-Wolf on earlier this morning.
Yeah, she's amazing,
and
isn't
her
she?
passion and love of not only flying, but, service to her nation. Unmatched. So really incredible to see. So I'm excited to see her fly.
Yeah.
I got to see her a little bit sneak peek yesterday as she flew a practice run. Mm-hmm. Like Matt said this morning, it was kind of just like the appetizer.
Right.
Right. So
yeah.
So this is going to be the real deal here later on this afternoon.
I think it's very neat to see her inspiring a future generation of service members.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. And, you talked about the purpose for air shows. We talked about, demonstrating the readiness of the U.S. Armed Forces. But it's also about recruiting, right? The next generation of airmen and guardians who are going to serve this great nation are here today at Hill Air Force Base. And the looks of wonderment on their faces. I mean, we can see a couple young men and women over there, and just the looks on their faces, they are, they're already thinking about aviation and getting a passion for it. And that's a big reason why we would do air shows.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, people are clapping now. Oh, I'm so excited for this. And we are really less than 10 minutes away from seeing that F-35 in the air. So what will we see once she's in the air?
Well, we're actually going to see it because we're going to toss to a package right now that shows you a little bit more about the F-35 demo team.
The inverted pass is always my favorite.
You don't have to understand the lingo to know that this,
upside down, 300 feet above the ground,
is pretty amazing. And as awe-inspiring as it may look from the ground, it's just as awe-inspiring to the pilot in the cockpit.
All of that mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering that goes into making this airplane fly, that technology, the fact that they can put that into an airplane that can go, 1.6 Mach, 29 Gs, and drop bombs is super awesome.
Major Kristen Wolf, call sign Bayo, is the pilot and commander for the F-35A Lightning II demo team. Her job is to show off just how incredible her plane is to the entire world.
And it's the latest and greatest technology inside of it.
The Lightning II is the world's most advanced fighter jet, and Bayo Wolf and her team are happy to finally get to show it off in front of the hometown crowd.
This is obviously our home base. We've been here since 2019. We started practicing, skipped the 2020 air show, so we're really excited just to get everybody out, especially the local community, onto the base just to see this airplane, the Thunderbirds, and it's going to be a huge lineup that weekend. So we're really excited to put on a show.
And what you'll see in the air won't just be some simple air show tricks. Bayo puts the jet to the test each and every time she gets inside.
It is pretty aggressive flying. You're max performing the airplane, so a lot of Gs, a lot of strenuous maneuvers.
Proving her plane is more than ready to take on any enemy.
We don't modify the airplanes, paint them, take out any sensors, anything like this. Airplane could go to war tomorrow with bombs in it, and some of them have come back from war. We fly them in demos, so it's pretty important to share that combat capability.
Showing off the might of our military and inspiring the next generation of airmen and women, just one of the many goals of the demo team and the Warriors over the Wasatch Air Show.
Gives people outside of the fence the opportunity to come on the base and see what their neighbors do, see what goes on here at the base. It's not just about flying the aircraft, but it's about maintaining them and all the multiple things that they do here at Hill. That's why it's called an open house. It's really to invite those people in and say, look, here's what we do. We do this because we protect our country each and every day, and this is how we do that.
And it just so happens that protecting our country,
40,000 pounds of thrust, we're riding down the runway and then raising around 300 feet off the ground.
Also puts on quite a show.
It's like flying a roller coaster. It's awesome.
So just a little sneak preview there from Bayo Wolf, and I think I recognized the voice on that package. It sounded strangely familiar.
Yes. I was so excited when I got to cover that a few weeks ago. Now, how long has she trained to be flying the F-35? Like, what kind of time commitment does a pilot have when they're at her level of that expertise?
It's pilot training is a very long process. In fact, typical pilot training lasts approximately a year just to learn the basics, to earn your pilot's wings in the Air Force.
Right.
And so you spend that year. There's a lot of things going on in that world. Pilot training transformation, they call it, using technology, virtual reality. So they're trying to basically create the same quality pilots that we've always had, but using more technology and that, so it's really exciting stuff. But then a lot of times, depending on what airframe they're going to fly, they go to what's called a B course, where they learn to fly that particular airframe. Major Wolf, who we're going to see in the F-35 today, fun fact, she actually flew the F-22 Raptor first. So she went and flew that, and that takes that's usually 6 months to a year plus upgrade training when you go to your unit. I mean, it's years in the making of to make the world's greatest fighter pilot is not an overnight process. And, pretty impressive stuff when you realize this person's not only flown the F-22, but they're also now flying the F-35. And a lot of the things that she flies are just capabilities, but, all the pilots that work in the 388th Fighter Wing here at Hill, which that's where the F-35 demo team falls in. They're all pilots of that caliber.
Wow.
So to be chosen as the demo team pilot, though, a huge honor. And so exciting stuff to see her. And she's going to be taken to the air here in just a few minutes.
It's good we know what's going on. Or it would be a little scary. Look at that. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. That caught Debbie by surprise.
Yeah,
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. And, generally when we see black smoke like that, there is a real problem. But since we know that that's not the case right now, that's a lot of fun. All right. So those F-35 pilots, and are they the pilots that go into combat?
Yeah, so the
ones that are training here, they go into combat.
Well, that's an operational F-35 wing here, the 388th Fighter Wing. That is an operational F-35 unit. So any of these pilots have the potential, to deploy, to fly, fight, and win, in a contested environment. So, what the men and women at Hill Air Force Base do across the specialties, is contributing to the readiness of the United States Air Force and Space Force to do their respective missions. It's really impressive to see. I mean, the dedication of these men and women to the mission every single day. It takes a lot, as you might imagine. I mean, this is a small city at Hill. We talked about that off air a little bit. But I mean, this is like, there's so much that happens here, from the 75th Air Base Wing, who kind of takes care of the city, to the mission partners who kind of are like the business owners who handle working those operational aspects of the mission. A lot to see here every day. And so a lot of people probably drive by and maybe see some airplanes in the air every now and then, but there's a lot happening
Yeah,
here.
there is. And we know that it is a huge economic impact to our area as well, which we really, really appreciate.
Yeah, in fact, Kevin Ireland, who's the director of the Utah Air Show Foundation, he was on with me and Matt earlier, and he said just the air shows itself brings around a $50 million impact to the local surrounding communities.
All these people have got to eat somewhere, don't they?
I mean, but that's just a staggering number,
it is.
right?
That's incredible.
That's
it's
really
great
for the people of this area, and the business owners, etc. And so you get a great replay there of the smoke show there on that aircraft. That's the Sonex.
This was probably the original definition of smoke show. Because now we hear it like someone's super hot. Oh, there's a smoke show. This was probably the original definition of this.
So here we go. So the F-35 should be taxied soon, as we're still on the replay. That's pretty cool stuff there. This is so much fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
And you can feel the anticipation building. We have from our vantage point, we have a good view of the crowd, and they're just like looking up there like, when's that F-35 taking off?
They are. And you know what? We just caught a little bit of a breeze. Sure, everyone is loving that.
Yeah.
It's nice and cool. Look at those crowds.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun to see the crowds get together for such an amazing event. I mean, there's just a sense of patriotism. There's a sense of camaraderie when we're watching something like this take place. And not just take place, but take place live right here in our community.
Yeah, and especially now, kind of post-pandemic, to see crowds of this size, it just, it still takes a little bit to get used to, but it's awesome to see. This is pretty incredible stuff here, and so we're still waiting. We were going to have Colonel Anderley of the 388th Fighter Wing stop by. He might have the chance to stop by later, but as you might imagine, he might be busy.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
There's hundreds of thousands of people, just hanging out, so he might be busy.
Yeah, so he is actually over about 2,000 of the personnel that work on the F-35 here, right?
Yeah, 6 squadrons make up that wing, and the Utah Test and Training Range, which is a 3.2 million. I didn't realize it was this big. 3.2 million acres.
Right. When
in
I
the
just
West
saw
Desert.
that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. Sometimes, we'll hear, they're going to be having training in the West Desert, so we'll be prepared for some of what's going on. But it is very cool to see it happening right here.
Yeah, so they do a lot of operational tests and evaluations of weapons. Obviously, they need that kind of large area just from a safety perspective. Really super important there. What a cool-looking airplane, though.
And, it almost looks like a bug from the front, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. As you get a look there, he's waving to the crowd. Awesome.
That is one thing that's really fun about this is just the showcasing and the showmanship of what's happening out here today. And, you know, we talk all the time in the newsroom when you have a good story or when we're trying to determine what kind of time something is going to get, we always say, like, well, let the content dictate the coverage. You know, and I mean, when you have this kind of content that we're seeing here today, I mean, there's a reason we're on for hours.
And piloting Sonex is Rob Holland. He's a veteran of the air show circuit, widely world-renowned pilot, so pretty impressive stuff. And did you see? I don't know if you saw it, but the little sneak preview down at the end of the runway.
So what can we expect to see when she starts flying that F-35?
Yeah, so what you're really going to see is...
look at that. It looks like a movie.
It does.
It looks like a movie. It's not. It's live.
I know. So we're not going to say what movie, but it looks like a movie. But I will say you're going to see 18 minutes of really, from a capabilities perspective, what the power of an F-35 is. So keep in mind that just because an aircraft has certain capabilities, they may not use those in an operation or whatever. So the whole intent of showing the F-35 is just to show what it's capable of. And it's pretty amazing stuff.
No, that's absolutely right. And for a pilot like her that is so skilled, her expertise is just off the charts. What will she be? What's going through her mind as she's starting to fly this today?
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, she told us this morning, actually, you know, like they follow really, you know, just from a safety perspective, you know, they have a script that's tightly, you know, monitored and followed. She's talking to a pilot on the ground. There you see her taking off here for the start of the F-35 demonstration. So we're about to get to the good stuff here. So she's going to fly out and around. There you go. She's going straight up. So she's already pulling some G's. So this is where the camera crew really makes their money, trying to follow that. But look at that. Isn't that a beautiful sight?
It is beautiful. Wow. So the F-35 capable of what, 9 Gs? Is that what you told me?
9 Gs.
Which it was like what if you're the person flying that plane?
So it's gonna be like around 1,500 pounds on your chest.
Wow.
I mean, and I don't even know that you could even imagine that, right? Like that doesn't even seem like I couldn't make that up if I tried.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So pretty amazing stuff here.
And what's incredible is they have to have the skills to fly the plane, but they also have to be in just tip-top physical shape, don't they?
Yeah, and that's a huge part, and that's something that they embed right at the start when they're in pilot training down in Air Education and Training Command, understanding that it's not just getting in an airplane and flying. Got a little afterburner right there.
Love it. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I don't have the stats right in front of me, but that's a lot of thrust and torque going on right there. You know, I'm sure any pilot out there in the crowd is definitely appreciating that right now. But yeah, getting back to what you talked about with physical performance, like, you know, they have to get the proper nutrition. They have to sleep. They're like high-performance athletes.
They're world-class athletes.
They are. They're the best in the world at what they do. And you think about, you know, the Jazz there in Salt Lake City. You know, like Donovan Mitchell has to get ready for every single game and be ready to rock and roll. And that means after a game, he's going home, he's hydrating, he's sleeping. Right. Same thing. You know, when they're about to get in this cockpit, they got to be at their highest potential, you know, to fly this plane at the very limits of its capabilities. So that was cool.
It's cool. I mean, for lack of a better adjective.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. That was cool. Or that was fire. I don't know. Is that what the kids say now? So.
Exactly.
Oh, man, that was awesome. But, yeah, it's pretty impressive to see, you know, how, I mean, think of the focus that you have to have, you know, and that's why the Air Force has such a need for people who are interested in STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, and math, because think of all the things, the calculations that she is constantly running in her head. Mm-hmm. I mean, I mean, this plane goes to Mach 1.6. I mean, 1,200 miles an hour.
That's insane.
That's
I'm glad
incredible.
we're telling you what that is, how fast, because I didn't actually know. Mach 1.6.
Yeah, no, I had to look. I looked up Mach, and that was like, they said it was like anything over 750 miles an hour is basically breaking the sound barrier. So, pretty impressive. I mean, I can't even imagine.
No.
I mean, she's not breaking the sound barrier right now, but she's going really fast. Yeah, so, we've talked a little bit about it, but the stealth aspects of this are just incredible. And, when it comes to strategic competition against, our nation's adversaries like Russia, China, this is the kind of technology and capability that allows us to stay the superpower that the United States is and to be able to fly, fight, and win. So, I mean, it's just incredible. There's nobody in the world who can match these kind of capabilities.
No, it's true. So the Air Force's premier fighter jet, that's the F-35 Lightning, right? That's what we call it. Okay. It says high impact, maximum velocity, seat of your pants, thrill ride for all ages. Although very few people actually get to go inside. So this magnificent multi-role stealth combat aircraft is by far, and this is kind of what we've been talking about, the most superior fighter jet the world has ever laid eyes on. The F-35 is the first operational supersonic fighter jet capable of reaching 1.6 Mach. What does supersonic fighter mean?
Well, you're breaking the sound barrier.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not. I don't know how close she is to breaking the sound barrier today. Usually, you break a sound barrier. That's going to hurt some people's eardrums.
Well, yeah, the booms are a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
So Captain Kristen Beowulf from the 388th Fighter Squadron, that's who's flying this right now. And she's right here at oh my gosh, help me.
She's based at Hill Air Force.
Yes.
And what makes this unique is, they train here all the time, and you see the F-35 in the skies all the time. This is, as you see her flying basically inverted, pretty cool stuff. But, this is the first time that, they've got to perform in front of the Hill Air Force Base, hometown crowd.
Yeah.
It's a home game.
It is.
That's cool.
And it's like the playoffs. It's the home game, but it's the playoffs. And we're playing the Golden State Warriors, so it's a big game, and we're going to win.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, so a little history, the F-35 demo team used to be based out of Luke Air Force Base in Arizona, which is the command that I actually work in Air Education and Training Command. And they didn't move to Hill until 2019, of course, but then what happened in 2020, you had the pandemic, and so that Hill Air Show was canceled. So, I don't have the data on when's the last time the F-35 demo team flew actually at the Hill Air Show, but it's probably been a while. Yeah, so super cool.
Super cool. It is such a spectacle.
Yeah. We can't even keep up with it.
And you said these planes now are so sophisticated that in combat, if the pilot was to pass out or something went wrong, then the computer system in these planes can take over for a time.
Yeah, that was super incredible. I did not know that. Beowulf told us that this morning. She's giving us some nice afterburners today, for sure. She's letting us know I'm here. Just that sound alone, is that not? I'm intimidated. That's just,
you can feel it.
But inspired at the same time. It's so cool.
What are these planes used for?
Basically, air-to-air dominance.
Oh, I love how you worded that. Air-to-air dominance.
Because ultimately, at the end of the day, right? If we're in combat, we want to dominate the adversary, and that's what these planes are designed for. I mean, nobody in the world wants to take on an F-22 Raptor or an F-35. You just don't want to do it. It's going to be a bad day. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what these planes are built for. It's pretty awesome to see it up close and personal. You know, and again, you know, this is, you know, defending America is not a cheap proposition in terms of, you know, it's a lot to fund America's military. So, you know, showing the American taxpayer, you know, what that money is used for, that's also part of the reason that we have these air shows.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think we've seen over the last couple of months, really since what's been happening overseas, is how important it is to have an incredible defense system in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we live in today's national security environment is probably as dynamic and, you know, contentious as it's ever been. And, you know, the Air Force has to stay ready. And that's what these pilots do every day at Hill Air Force Base. When you see them here in the local area and they're flying around, they're staying ready for tomorrow's high-end fight against adversaries like China and Russia or whoever might be our adversaries. And, you know, that's why it's just such an honor for me to, you know, work for the Air Force, but also just incredible that we get to share it with, you know, everybody that lives here. So she's just went by with the slow pass, and now she's going to go to a vertical climb.
Okay, and, you know, here's the thing. This is probably the first time many of these people have ever seen in person an F-35.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it might be my first time as well. It is so incredible to see this.
Yeah, look at that shot. Great shot from our crew. Wow. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it is a huge crew working to put this show on, and wow, what a show it is.
Oh, my gosh.
You talk about the readiness of the Air Force, and, you know, when you find out you need to get ready is when it's too late. That's why the U.S. is always doing this. That's why this is such an operation, 24/7, 365 here at Hill Air Force Base.
Yeah, you can't just, you know, as you get another great look at Major Wolf really demonstrating the flexibility of that airplane.
Right.
I mean, look how agile that is. I mean, it's just poetry in motion right there.
It is.
I mean, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, should I be talking? Because it's just so beautiful. Maybe I should just be quiet.
It is absolutely amazing to watch.
Yeah, it really is. But, you know, you talked about the readiness. Readiness is not just something you can do between 9 and 5, you know, every day. Like, it requires nights. It requires weekends. You know, it requires deployments away from home by the men and women who work across the Department of Defense to ensure, you know, America's national security interest. And so here we see the P-51 Mustang and the F-35 joining forces, the P-51 from the Korean War era. That was
state of the art at the time, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And it's still cool to see these planes flying. Fun fact, the pilot, Steve Hinton Jr., that's flying the P-51 Mustang today there with Major Wolf, his dad actually flew the P-51 in the Super Bowl flyover that Major Wolf took part in back in February.
Oh,
so
wow.
Kind of a cool fun fact there. So, yeah, the Hinton family, long time on the air show circuit.
That's so fun.
And flying the, you know, American heritage classics
Right.
there, like the P-51 Mustang. And that really shows you, I mean, look, and in its day, the P-51 was just a beautiful state-of-the-art aircraft, but look how far we've come now with the 5th-generation aircraft. Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, really. I mean, I just about stood up and saluted right there. So,
No, it's so true. No, it is so true.
I mean, that was awesome. And look at that. I mean, that's Air Force history right there.
That is. And just the commitment to excellence is so evident as we're watching these planes fly today.
Yeah, this is the Air Force's 75th anniversary year. We talk about our theme for this year's air show is innovate, accelerate, and thrive, the Air Force at 75. And that's what it is, right? I mean, it takes innovation. It takes that acceleration mindset, like, hey, we need to make sure that we stay ahead of our adversaries. Mm-hmm. And that's what you see there with that particular aircraft. Otherwise, we'd still be flying the P-51s.
You're right.
But it takes that F-35 that you see right there to win tomorrow's fight.
Yep.
And today's.
And the greatest minds.
Yep. And that's why the Air Force needs you. So if you're passionate about aviation and you have a background in science, engineering, technology, etc., mathematics, we need you, and you should consider it. And we're actually going to have a guest a little bit later, Don Jessen from the Air Logistics Complex here, who's going to talk about ways that you can actually serve your country, and you don't even necessarily have to, enlist in the Air Force to do it. You can actually work as a civilian for the Air Force as well. So I can't wait to talk to Don as well.
No, that's one thing I didn't know. I thought, you're all in, but you're not in at all. And so that is actually really a great opportunity and a great way to serve the country and make a good living doing so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that there is a ton of civil service opportunities from a civilian perspective to serve with the United States Air Force. It's part of the total force concept. I'm a civilian. I wore the uniform, but now work for the Air Force as a civilian. And civilians, in a lot of ways, really provide that foundational of continuity, as airmen rotate in and out, as you get another great shot of the P-51 Mustang there flying with the F-35 Lightning II, the Heritage Flight Formation 2 ship there. Just gorgeous. Not a cloud in the sky.
Oh, yeah, it's so perfect.
Yeah. So.
And last weekend, the weather was garbage.
Oh.
It was so bad. And I was thinking last weekend, it's good that we got another week before we have the air show. It was rainy, it was cold, it was just not the greatest.
No such problems today in Utah. So
how rewarding is a position with the Air Force?
Yeah, it's been the honor of my lifetime. I mean, I think for anybody who wears the uniform or even civilians that serve, knowing that you're contributing to the greatest team that you'll ever be on, there's just something about it. You hear that national anthem or you see this demonstration of air power. It really just reminds you how lucky you are and how privileged you are to help in the defense of this great nation.
Yeah, and I love going into the next 2 weeks with the 4th of July right around the corner, because I always feel like we're just so desperate for that unity, for that patriotism. And I mean, it's a fun time of year to really focus on that and be part of this show this weekend, which just really sets the stage.
And the crowd at Centerline just got a great flyby. That was awesome. Just awesome. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, and so, I mean, wow. And, typically the F-30, to me, that's a headline act by itself, but we still have...
Which is crazy that's kind of like the opening act, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Well, they're before the Thunderbirds, but obviously the United States Air Force Aerial Demonstration Squadron of Thunderbirds, they've been delighting crowds around the world for decades now, and so that's just so impressive. A 6-ship formation. I can't wait to watch that. And what's great about it is they have that ground show that we're going to see. That it's about 140 person unit, and to make that Thunderbirds mission go, total team effort. But, But what the crowd will see is just basically the end result of a lot of hard work.
Yeah, isn't that so true? And, look. Yes, here it comes, just right overhead.
Yep.
There is no shortage of entertainment here today.
Yep. They came up the backside there. And you got to kind of watch for that with the Thunderbirds. I heard they like to be sneaky.
Oh, they do.
Sometimes.
They like to be sneaky.
Yeah, so they're going to, they might catch you unawares. So just FYI, I warned you.
Oh, yes, I consider myself warned. Right.
Look at that. Oh, man. What a beauty. And you know what? I think maybe this Hill community and Ogden community in particular, pretty spoiled because you can walk out your back door and kind of see this like a lot.
No, it is so true.
Pretty lucky.
And look at that mountain background. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, does it?
Yeah,
that
so
is just very cool.
I was actually out here in February when we did the Super Bowl broadcast when Major Wolf flew in the Super Bowl formation flyover, and it was snow on the backdrop, and I was like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing. And I was like, it can't get any better than this. And then I got here actually 2 days ago. Going vertical again.
Yep.
But that backdrop that you mentioned I was just like, oh my God, it's just
stunning.
as incredible in the
stunning,
summer.
Isn't it?
I mean, I live in Texas. There's not really the Wasatch Mountains to speak of.
We take them for granted. We forget how amazing that backdrop is.
Yeah.
That once in a while we get those views just like we saw, and it's an amazing place to live.
Yeah, so the F-35 looks like she's bringing out her land, as you see the replay here of the P-51 passover with the F-35. But Major Wolf's getting ready to come in for the landing. She's got her landing gear down, so she's going to be coming down. So as a reminder, you can still make it out, but you're starting to run out of time there. Oh, look at that.
So is this plane still used, or is it just kind of a show plane?
Yeah.
Nostalgic?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's really great is the organizations that work to keep these historic warbird planes up in the air and flying, because, it's not easy to find replacement parts for a Korean-era airplane.
It's true.
So, there's a lot of great people and organizations that spend a lot of time, energy, and effort, like Steve Hinton and his father, to make sure that the American public still gets that sense of nostalgia and gets to see these historic warbirds in action.
It is very fun to watch that. And really, it's kind of the past and the present going into the future when you watch that right next to the F-35.
Yeah.
Where we've been, where we are, and no doubt where we're still going as far as aviation goes.
And really, you think about it, like for the next generation of airmen and guardians who might be here at the air show, what might they be flying in 20 years from now, when they join the Air Force? So pretty cool.
And I thought that was interesting when you talk about the F-35, how really she's showcasing some of the fun stuff today, because if she were in a combat situation, she's not going to be doing the fun tricks. She's going to be, defending and protecting the country. So it's fun that we get to see that side of that flight today.
Yeah. And you get a good look at the crowd. Honestly, I don't know how much standing room is available that's left, right?
Right.
As she's touched down there.
Oh yeah, she's touched down, and we are right on the front side. Really, the bleachers are set up. We have a lot of people. Now, the great thing about this is you get a good view, regardless of if you're a shorty like me, because most of it's in the air. So that's really fun to watch. Yeah, so there she has just landed.
What do they say? Not a bad seat in the house.
Yeah, it's true.
That's for sure.
So about an 18-minute flight from her.
Yeah.
Showing us some of the cool things that just amazing piece of machinery can do.
Yeah, so incredible stuff. She's actually going to taxi, and she parks like right over here. So we're going to hear. When she parks. So pretty cool stuff here. So I know you grew up around here, come to a lot of air shows, but what do you think of this view so far?
No, it's amazing. Now, I will tell you, the thing I was most nervous about today was being hot. Because as a kid, I remember it was so hot, like my dad and my brother, they were just so into all of this. And I remember thinking, okay, we're going to go, we're going to be sunburned, we're going to be all of this. The great thing is you can bring plenty of water. I know they have water refill stations here as well. And the weather is not that hot today. Granted, we're in the shade, but we're in the 80s. And this is a great way to spend a Saturday. And what has been so amazing, what a service to the community that a huge event like this, world-class, really, this is a world-class facility, world-class pilots giving us an amazing show, free to the public. We've been expecting 250,000 to 500,000 people. We think that we've probably hit far beyond that already this weekend, and you can see why.
You just wonder, is there a guy at the gate with like that, that old school clicker?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got to be tired by now,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yes, definitely.
When do you just give up?
Right. And really, the entire community, you could see this from all over. Fun to watch. And as I was getting off the freeway driving in, I thought, wow, if I wasn't coming here today, I would try to find a way to get here, because you saw the planes and kind of the free fall. It's just like, oh, okay, that's going to be a super cool show.
Yeah, so the T-33 is getting ready to queue up, to take off. We've still got a few acts. The Thunderbirds will be setting up around 3:30. And they are scheduled right now for a 3:35 start of their show, and that'll last about 45 minutes
or
so.
Wow.
So you're going to be in for a treat for that air show. That's a good-looking airplane, too. Again, another older airplane.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so very cool. It's about to take off. I believe that's the T-33, as there's the P-51 as it taxis in from its flight with the F-35.
And there, of course, F-35. Yeah.
I mean, that just looks cool.
It does.
I know I've said that like 5 times,
No,
but I just
does.
I got to keep saying it, because, and I see the F-35 a lot, and I'm still, every time, I'm like, oh, that's a good-looking airplane.
Yeah, it just has not lost the novelty, I'm sure.
No, not
Which,
at all.
I bet if you asked her, how much do you love your job, she would say it beats working for a living.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the passion shone through this morning when we had the chance to spend some time with her. And I think she was on the KSL noon show yesterday.
Yeah.
With Shira and Dan Spindle were out here. And so, she got to spend some time with them as well. So, very cool.
And, the sense of camaraderie is so amazing, because even, the crew that's helping her land, I mean, you really can see that sense of pride from the top to the bottom, and everyone that is involved in this production.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they, like anything else, right? It takes a village. I always equate to sports. I'm a sports guy.
Right.
You got to have the trainers. You got to have the equipment room guy. You got to have, everybody in the front office. It's the same way in the Air Force. You got to have the maintainers. You got to have, the people who are doing, fuel and
right.
ammo and just even the security forces crew at the gate. Imagine their job today to make sure the public can come in today.
Yeah.
It just takes an entire team of airmen and guardians to make this mission happen.
Yes, maximizing their role. We are miking up someone to get on set right now.
Yeah, so it's going to be Don Jessen. Yeah, so there it is. We're going to pull up his bio here. We're so glad you could join us.
Yes, so Don Jessen is the Chief of Business Operations. The Air Ogden Logistics Complex employs more than 8,100 military, civilian, and contact personnel here at Hill Air Force Base in 155 different job series. Are you thinking, yes, I knew that. That's why I'm always so busy. The majority of the employees are federal civilian employees and not in uniform. They are military service members, however. Jobs range from supply chain, finance, manpower, production, and software, to name a few. So here is Mr. Don Jessen, who is going to talk about how those civilian employees are hired in the Ogden ALC. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. And isn't this beautiful? I'm a little distracted with everything going on in the background. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, we were just talking about, like, how spoiled you must kind of be, because you probably see an F-35 every day, but it's incredible every single time.
Oh, it never gets old. It really never gets old. But thanks for that introduction. So I'm glad to talk about hiring. That's one of the things we do here. And we're really looking for that skilled labor workforce.
And what does that mean?
So we do a lot of the repair, maintenance, and overhaul. It takes a lot to keep these airplanes flying. So we've got, as you mentioned, a little over 8,000 employees. Most of those are civilians. Some of the careers that we're really focusing on right now will be our skilled labor, like aircraft mechanics, sheet metal workers, low observable coatings, machinists. That skilled labor, we're really looking for skilled labor, and then we're always looking for science and engineers. engineers in, mechanical engineers, structural engineers, our software engineers, and cybersecurity professionals. It really takes a team effort to keep these flying.
Yeah, and so, the theme of this year's air show is around innovation and accelerating. And we talked with Miss Sturgeon from the STEM City.
Oh, yes.
But just talk about how important STEM is to the aerospace and space worlds.
Well, we just barely saw the F-35 fly. It's been rumored to be a flying software platform. It takes a lot of software to keep these in the air. So software engineers are one of those areas that really, we are hiring as many software engineers as are interested.
Wow.
And are these people who have college degrees already? Does it range?
It ranges. So I'm a farm boy from southern Utah. I was recruited right out of college in southern Utah. Near Cedar City.
Okay.
So I came on, it's actually been 23 years ago in June. So
he started when he was like 10.
I've been coming to these air shows for a little while. But yes, out of college, the skilled labor we'll take out of high school. Air Force does a very good job of training. I was able to get my master's when I came on board. I graduated from Utah State, but we offer a lot of training programs. Again, skilled labor workforce or professional workforce. And that's one of the things I've enjoyed is Air Force has provided me opportunity to get out and see a lot of different bases, to be able to work different areas. I've been able to work in supply chain and logistics. Right now I'm in the complex. We focus on maintenance, repair, and overhaul of the aircraft, but also base support and acquisition and procurement. So I've really liked being able to have job stability, be here with my family, but being able to do new and different areas of work.
And we talked about that there's a lot of ways to serve with the armed forces, including the Air Force here at Hill Air Force Base. And one of those is just by being a civilian, you are contributing to the Air Force mission in a very big way.
Absolutely. The mechanics, they're out here on the flight line. They're in the hangars here just behind us. So they are providing readiness. They're providing that air power to our nation.
What are some of the seemingly little things that make a big difference working with your team?
Well, first, it's supporting the mission. It's supporting our nation's defense and providing air power. Second, I'd say it's the people. I work with some really great people who have my back, professionally and personal life. But we offer very competitive wages, and there's a lot of kind of some of those non-tangible benefits. Retirement, paid leave. Not many places offer a pension nowadays.
That's true.
Vacation days. I like being able to take time off and go be with my family. But some of the other things is job stability, as I mentioned too. I've been here 23 years and I've never had to worry about job stability. And so that's for me, that's been pretty big.
Yeah, and that really matters. So as you look to hire, what are some of the things that you guys do in the local community? Do you guys recruit at like job fairs, or how are you guys out there? Or if somebody was interested, how would they learn more?
Well, that's a great question, Dan. So we try to, yes, we're out there at job fairs. Probably the easiest would be some of our job boards. So the easiest would be Hill Air Force Base Recruiting Facebook, and it's on Facebook, or airforceciviliancareers.com. And we're on LinkedIn. Also, if you go to Utah Department of Workforce Services. So any of those job boards, you can get out there, you can see the jobs that are open, see what we're looking for, and just post your resume to one of those job boards. About every 2 weeks, we go in, we pull those resumes, we review them. And right now, we really are hiring. Again, skilled labor and science and engineers is our two big focus areas.
And I think it's always so great that there is a career path. This is not a job, it's a career. And it probably becomes part of who you are as well. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. The career path can be, I talked a little bit about horizontal, being able to work supply chain, procurement, or over in the complex. But also there's a lot of areas for promotion here, just right at Hill Air Force Base. I like living here. I like to work and play here. But there's also, ability to go throughout the Air Force, whatever you'd like to do. But again, our organization's about 10,000 employees, but there's about 20,000 employees here on Hill Air Force Base. So there is a lot of opportunities.
Wow, but that shows you, that just the ALC alone, if there's 20,000 employees and you have close to half. I mean, that's a huge operation.
It is, and again, I told you I was a farm boy from Southern Utah. I didn't grow up in the military, was not very familiar, but we are 99% civilian for our, just for the complex. We've got about 200, enlisted and officers, but mainly we're a civilian workforce.
What kind of sense of pride comes with an event like today's event?
Oh, it is awesome. I mean, you can probably see the smile on my face. I brought my son and my daughter here, and it is just really neat to see this. I guess the community, we get great support from the community. Our community is really behind us, and that means a lot to us as well. But it's just nice to work here. It's great to support the mission and to see the support air power.
So, we're talking about hiring, and I know, a lot of times in different organizations it's cyclic, right? Sometimes you're like, oh man, we have a lot of vacancies, and then, a couple months from now, oh, we're sitting pretty good. So it's a cyclic valley you kind of navigate, but how invested are you guys in hiring, like today? If somebody's like, I need a job right now.
Well, so in addition just to our normal attrition, we're going to be growing by about 600 people. So in the next few months, we're trying to bring on about 600 people. I don't think we'll get there, but we are hiring.
No, let's be optimistic. You're going to get there. And what jobs are those? Are those across the board? Okay. Yeah. And so some of those skilled labor positions, I mean, people just graduated from high school. Now is a time, if you don't have an idea of what the plan is, this would be a great path.
High school, if you're retiring from the Air Force, if you're active duty retiring, you bring some skills, or if you want to transfer, we'll take beginning or journeyman level mechanics.
Can you kind of just maybe expound on that just a little bit in terms of especially from a trade perspective, when you talk about entry level, I mean, how entry level are you willing to take somebody and basically grow them into what you need them to be?
So we're willing to take them right out of high school. And, we have a sheet metal course. Also, we work with Davis Tech, Ogden Tech, so the tech colleges, Salt Lake Community Tech colleges. So right out of high school, out of a tech college, or somebody who has some experience coming on board. So, definitely would love to be able to hire the experience, but we'll hire and train. That's kind of with me. I came out of college, first job, and they were able to train me.
And again, these are not jobs where you get drafted. These are
Absolutely.
jobs. No, really, because that's a huge thing. I've thought about that so many times. For a lot of the young couples, young moms, I think they would love to go work for somewhere like the Air Force, but the thought of being away from maybe that newborn baby for a few months or a year is just off the table completely.
Absolutely. So I came, from Cedar City, graduated, just moved up here with my family, and I've enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, you've been here a long time now.
Yep, 23 years.
Now, do you call this home now?
I do. I live up in Pleasant View, and we love it. There's so much to do in the area.
So my family's from Panguitch.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so right there by Cedar City as well.
I absolutely know where that's at. I've been to Panguitch Lake fishing many times.
They're having their balloon festival today. Not quite an air show.
Oh, awesome.
Whoever scheduled that, I don't know. That's a tough feat.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we can obviously sense your passion for what you do and what the ALC does for the mission here at Hill, and of course the greater Air Force at large. But when you think about your 23 years, what's the thing that you maybe think upon most fondly of your time so far?
It's been the people I work with. I've gone through some hard things, and they've been there for me. So just like a second family. So it's definitely the people I work with. I will say Hill Air Force Base has one of the best missions. We're the fighter depot. I mean, that is cool. We get to support the fighter aircraft as well as the Air Force's nuclear mission. So it's the people, but Hill Air Force Base is just a special place to work. And I think we support some of the best aircraft in the inventory, the fighter aircraft, what we see behind us.
What the heck are we watching right now?
The shot. I'm just going to ask you, Don, do you put engines on the back of vehicles?
No. I did take automotive technology in high school, though, and in college, and so I'm a car guy, and this is awesome. What is that?
That is the Shockwave truck. I'm told it races airplanes. So 3 engines. Let's keep going. 376 miles an hour. And it's hot.
That's hot. And not in a Paris Hilton way. I'm saying, like, actually hot on our backs.
And I love the smell of JP8. It is just, it's awesome out here.
It says 3 jet engines, 36,000 pounds of horsepower. Hey, you're a math guy. What is 36,000 pounds of horsepower really mean?
I'm sure that puts you in the back of your seat.
At Shockwave, the current world record holder for jet-powered trucks at 376 miles an hour.
That is funny. But see, that's the beauty of the air show. There is something for everyone. We just went from watching an F-35 fighter to this.
Yeah. So a father and son duo pilot this truck, Neil and Chris Darnell. They are, of course, veterans on the air show circuit. That's pretty cool stuff. And I think maybe you guys might need to add this to your inventory, Don.
Oh, yeah, well, definitely.
At least that could be like the, let's go take a break and drive Shockwave.
So
Yeah, that'd be like, what's the ROI on that, right?
And I think they've upgraded from our last show. It was like a regular size truck. That is a semi truck.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. And again, like you said, Debbie, just something cool that you don't really see anywhere else other than at one of these air shows. So
I get a little
stuff.
giddy seeing that. See the adrenaline.